a name carved in wind and water. He didn't ride a horse. He rode a crocodile. He didn't conquer with swords, but with silence. And long after he vanished into the forest, the earth still remembers his name. Togbe Tsali. If you travel to the Volta region of Ghana, past the modern towns, the humming motorbikes, and the markets rich with spices and song, you'll come upon elders gathered beneath great trees. Their voices low, their eyes timeless. Ask them about Tsali. They may go quiet first. Not out of fear, but respect. Because you're not asking for a history lesson. You're invoking a presence. And if the wind stirs the leaves just right, they'll begin. They'll speak of the time when their people were trapped in the walled kingdom of Nazi. They'll speak of tyranny, of escape, of silence as a weapon. They'll speak of a boy with ancient eyes. Of a man who bent rivers. Who whispered to fire. Who rode a crocodile into legend. You may call him myth. But to us, he was more real than the earth itself. Nazi, the city of silence and chains. Before Tsali became Togbe, before the chants, the miracles, the impossible ride, there was only silence. The kingdom of Nazi sat in what is now central Togo. A thriving city-state surrounded by high walls and guarded by soldiers who trusted no one, especially not the people who built the city with their sweat and blood, the U. For a time, there was peace. But then came Agricorli, a ruler whose paranoia knew no end. Some say he had once been betrayed by his closest advisor. Others whisper he consulted the spirits and was told a child would rise against him. Whatever the truth, what followed was unrelenting cruelty. He forbade migration. He demanded impossible labor. He made examples of rebels. Public, brutal examples. Fathers disappeared overnight. Children wept into their mothers' silent shoulders. The drums, once used to summon joy, beat only for funerals now. The U called it Zidzo Lagom, joy buried in silence. And yet, they endured. Because in the heart of that darkness, the ancestors had not abandoned them. Something, or someone, was coming. Next, Chapter 2, The Boy with Eyes Too Old for His Face. Some children cry when they're born. This one, he stared, as if he already knew how the story would end. The boy with eyes too old for his face. They say the night he was born, the wind stopped. The air thickened, and not a single dog barked. In a quiet quarter of Nazi, near the outer wall where the poorest families lived, a woman screamed into the darkness. Not out of fear, but birth. A midwife wiped her brow. A fire crackled low. When the child emerged, the room fell deathly silent. He did not cry. He did not flail. He stared. His eyes scanned the room as if searching for something familiar or forgotten. The midwife stepped back. "These are not the eyes of a child," she whispered. "They are the eyes of one who has seen too much." His mother, a cloth weaver named Alim, wrapped him in a threadbare wrap she had spun herself. She named him Tsali, meaning patience in you, because he waited to be born. And perhaps, because she hoped the world would be patient with him. But patience was not what the world gave him. By the time Tsali was 3, strange things were happening. Birds gathered outside his hut in the morning, chirping as if reporting news. Wounded animals wandered near him and walked away whole. Once, during a flash flood that consumed the lower village, he was found sleeping peacefully on a dry patch of ground untouched by mud or rain. Some whispered voodoo, dark magic. Others fell to their knees when he passed. But Alim protected him fiercely. "He is not a devil," she would say. "He is the voice of our fathers returned." Elders visited in secret. They asked questions about their dreams, about the past, about what might come. Tsali would listen quietly, then speak softly, and whatever he said came true. But power, even quiet power, is dangerous when tyrants still breathe. Agricorli heard rumors of a strange child, a potential prophet, perhaps the child the spirits warned him about. And so one night, his soldiers came. But when they reached Tsali's hut, they found nothing. The boy was gone. So was his mother. No footprints, no signs of escape, only a whisper in the air. "He knows you are coming." The king never slept well again. The revolution that began with water. You don't destroy stone with fire. You destroy it with water. Drip by drip, crack by crack. When Tsali returned years later, he wasn't a child anymore. He was tall, quiet, unshakable. His presence drew the wind. Birds still followed him. Elders bent at the knee. And the youth saw a future again. He did not preach rebellion. He simply asked one question. What softens stone? They thought it was a riddle. But he pointed to the old western wall of Nazi, the thickest section, where rainwater often pooled after a storm. Water remembers, he said. It knows where to return. Let us help it. And so began one of the most ingenious revolts in human history. Every night, women carried pots of water to the same spot in the wall. They poured slowly, carefully. Children played nearby, masking the sound. The guards laughed. Women bathing stone. They mocked. But the Yu knew, real power doesn't shout. It whispers. Night after night, water kissed the clay bricks. The soil beneath them softened. The foundation wept. Then, one moonless night, Tsali gave the signal. The people gathered, barefoot, silent, determined. They pressed their hands to the earth. It crumbled like sand, and one by one, they slipped through the breach, walking backward, so that if the soldiers found their prince, they would chase the wrong direction. By dawn, the Yu were gone. Nazi awoke to silence, a kingdom emptied by water, faith, and the patience of Tsali. And still, no blood had been spilled. Next, Chapter 4, The Crocodile That Obeyed a Man. When the enemy stole their soul, Tsali rode death itself to bring it home. The crocodile that obeyed a man. Most men run from crocodiles. Tsali rode one like a brother. Because when your spirit is older than your body, even beasts remember your name. After the escape from Nazi, the Yu scattered, crossing rivers, climbing mountains, building new homes in what would become the Volta region. But freedom wasn't without fear. The earth they arrived in was wild. Dense forests, swollen rivers, spirits both light and dark. And then, something worse. Agorkorli's wrath. Though robbed of his people, the tyrant still had spies. Word traveled. And soon, a dark warning spread among the Yu settlements. The soul of our people has been stolen. The sacred stool, an ancestral relic believed to carry the spiritual unity of the Yu, had vanished. Some said it had been taken during the escape. Others believed it had been hidden by traitors loyal to Agorkorli. Without it, the tribe could not perform proper rites. The ancestors were silent. Panic festered. Rain stopped falling. Children fell ill. Then, one day, a crocodile was seen at the edge of the village riverbank. Massive. Unblinking. Waiting. Most fled. Tsali stepped forward. He knelt. Whispered. Touched the crocodile's head. Climbed on its back. The beast did not resist. The ancestors have called, he said. I must retrieve what was lost. For 3 days and 3 nights, the people waited. Women sang old songs. Elders cast protective spells. Hunters stood watch. Then on the 4th morning, just as mist curled over the water, the crocodile returned. Tsali stood atop it. In his hands, the stool. He stepped onto the shore, soaked but unbroken. The crocodile dipped its head and vanished beneath the waves. Tsali raised the stool. The soul of our people is restored. From that moment on, the rains returned. The ancestors spoke in dreams again. And Tsali became more than a man. He was now Togbe, a title meaning grandfather, one only given to great leaders and protectors of the Yu. And yet, his greatest trials had not yet begun. Fire beneath the feet of the faithless. There is always one who betrays. But Tsali didn't punish with a sword. He punished with a flame that only the guilty could feel. As the Yu rebuilt their lives, stories of Tsali spread like wildfire, not just among his people, but into enemy lands. He was now the subject of royal worry. Kingdoms feared his name. But within the Yu ranks, not all were loyal. A man named Togo, once a respected hunter, grew bitter, jealous. He resented Tsali's quiet power, his way of drawing awe without ever demanding it. Toga whispered lies. That Tsali was a sorcerer. That the stool was fake. That the rains were coincidence. He rallied men behind him. They plotted to exile Tsali. Some spoke of killing him in his sleep. But Tsali already knew. He did not run. Instead, he called a meeting of the entire village. A bonfire blazed in the center. He stood silently, then said, "Tonight, we find the heart that beats against the drum of our people." He scattered ash around the fire, then invited every man to walk through the smoke. One by one, they passed, until Toga stepped forward. Suddenly, the flames leapt, without wood or wind. They roared skyward. Toga screamed. Not from burns, there were none, but from the pain of memory. He fell to his knees, confessing every plot, every lie. Tsali knelt beside him. "You are not cursed," he said. "You are seen." Then he walked away. He did not banish him. He did not punish further. Because for Tsali, the worst punishment was being exposed to your own shadow. Next, Chapter 6, the disappearance that made him immortal. He never died. He simply stepped into the forest and never looked back. You said, "Yes." The disappearance that made him immortal. Some heroes die in battle. Some heroes die in bed. But the greatest heroes vanish without a sound because they're not meant to be buried. They're meant to be remembered. Years passed. The Yu-lands flourished. Villages became towns. Children grew up with the stories of the escape, of the sacred stool, of the crocodile, of the flames. And always, at the center of every tale, was Togbe Tsali. He never claimed power. He never ruled from a throne. Instead, he wandered from one settlement to another, helping build homes, healing the sick, teaching farmers when to plant and dancers when to drum. To the elders, he was the embodiment of the ancestors. To the children, he was a magical guide who could vanish behind a tree and reappear beside a fire. To the leaders, he was both mystery and moral compass. And then, one day, he left. No goodbye. No ceremony. Just a note carved into a baobab tree. "I am returning to the place where the river remembers my name." Some say he entered the sacred forest near Amadzov, where spirits and men still speak. Others claim he dove into the Volta River, riding a crocodile once more, never to surface. And some whisper that on certain nights, when the moon is low and the drums are silent, a figure appears at the edge of the village, watching, then fading into mist. "He is not gone," say the elders. "He is waiting, waiting for the time when the Yu will need him again." Legacy written in blood, wind, and names. What is immortality, if not being spoken of long after your bones are dust? Today, Togbe Tsali's name still lives, not just in stories, but in lives. Children are named after him: Tsali, Togbe, Afatsum. Villages bear his imprint, in their rituals, their taboos, their festivals. Drummers in Ghana, Togo, and Benin invoke his spirit before performances. Priests of Vodou still leave offerings at the riverside, where the crocodile once waited. And during times of war or hardship, you warriors call on his strength before they march. In schools, his story is taught as both folklore and spiritual truth. In politics, his humility is cited by leaders who wish to lead with grace. But most of all, in every Yu heart, there is a memory. We were once slaves. Then a boy who rode silence, fire, and crocodiles gave us our soul back. That is not myth. That is heritage. Epilogue: why the world forgot, but the earth remembers. In the West, they called him legend. In textbooks, he vanished. But in the roots of every baobab, in the whisper of every drum, he is still here. Togbe Tsali is more than a story. He is a map. A guide for how to fight oppression without becoming cruel. A reminder that power doesn't always look like armies. Sometimes, it looks like water slowly softening stone. And though the world may lift up kings, emperors, and conquerors, the Yu lift up a man who vanished into forest mist and left behind a people stronger than walls. So next time you hear thunder over the Volta, listen closely. You just might hear the echo of a boy riding a crocodile. If this story moved you, this is what we do here. We bring the hidden legends back to life. Hit subscribe for more tales you were never told in school. Comment below, what other African legends do you want us to uncover next? And share this with someone who should never forget what courage looks like.